We kick things off in some tavern where there are lots of beast men being served by a slave girl. The beast men talk about some kind of rumor regarding a master who has conquered a harem of monster slave girls. He has also taken over all the neighboring countries, so this area might be in danger as well. This character is taking over everywhere with his power, and he is referred to as the Monster Girl Harem Lord. What's more is that he's only a human, which means he's a true man of culture. Now we take a look at his awesome lifestyle, which includes living in a castle surrounded by plants and ant hills. This man seems to also be able to control beast girls into doing his bidding, so he is a total Chad. This is our hero, whose name is revealed to be Shirou. Now, two of Shirou's slave girls tell him that the remote border country didn't accept his demand to release their human slaves. Shirou simply says that he will send his troops in because he does not tolerate disrespect. How did our hero even get to this point, though? It's time for a very long flashback to let us know the whole context. We move to the plant lab of a university school of agriculture. Right next to it is a campus research farm where someone is working. He is our hero Asada Shirou, who is a doctor of agricultural science. Shirou's students are here too, and he is making them work like actual farmers because that is how practical learning works. Since the sensei is an expert authority in plant ecology, even curvy babes want to work under him. Shirou is a good man with a good heart because he wants to save all the starving children on the world. In order to achieve this, Shirou grows a lot of silver vine, which can be used for food as well as medicine. The students are not too confident about it, but Shirou is because he has a sister named Hannah to take care of. He wants to heal her condition, but it looks to be a futile effort, so he is left feeling sad and empty inside. Suddenly, one of the students hits something hard, and Shirou immediately realizes that it's an unexploded bomb. He takes cover with his students, and an explosion happens. After the lights fade away, our hero gets up and asks his kids if they are fine. However, when he looks up, he sees a tree which is over 40 meters tall. This should be impossible, but then Shirou notices the architecture of the place being from an ancient era. He is no longer in Japan, and all of a sudden, he and his two students are attacked by a group of beast girls. One of them is extra curvy, and she asks if Shirou and the others are humans. Our hero can't believe that she has cat ears and a tail, so she is definitely not some girl doing cosplay. The cat girl does not like to see Shirou asking questions, so she smacks him away and says that he needs to be the one answering to her. Shirou explains that he is a professor and the other two kids are his students, but the cat girl does not know what a professor is. She reveals her name to be Lady Savannah, and she suspects our hero to be a spy. Shirou claims to be innocent, but Savannah does not care, because she is going to use him and his students for her entertainment. The kids are taken to the slave rooms, but our hero is being taken to the arena, which makes him suspicious. As he enters the town, he can see that it is filled with thurianthropes, or in simple language, catgirls. Then, he notices a girl butchering the carcass of a giant ant, so he is in for a wild ride ahead. The cheering from the arena in front of him is loud and clear, so he is taken inside to see what's going on. He notices that the beast girls are forcing humans to fight against them, despite being at a disadvantage. There's a little girl in the arena who is up against a prime cat girl, and she looks very similar to Hannah. The cat girl gets ready to attack, but Shirou can't stand to see this, so he calls out to her, asking her not to do it. However, it is of no use as the cat girl strikes down the innocent human girl in one shot like Saitama. The audience can't believe that the human girl is not going to counter, but the cat girl, whose name is revealed to be Mia, constantly attacks her. Our hero realizes that Mia is intentionally not inflicting any fatal wounds onto the little girl, because she wants to draw out the torture. It's exactly like how a normal cat also toys with its prey, but it reminds him of his own past with Hannah. They were both mistreated by people while growing up, and Shirou is fed up of how even other worlds have the same ideologies. It angers our hero that the crowd is actually enjoying what is happening to the poor girl. But then one of his students starts to panic over what he is seeing. He fears that they are all cooked, But the catgirls don't appreciate too much noise, so they slash at him and tell him to shut up. Savannah tells him that she will slit his throat the next time, but Shirou tells her not to lay a hand on his students. She does not care, and slams his head onto the floor, stating that dozens of slaves die in this arena every single day. Shirou is getting really upset now, because he can't stand to see such harsh treatment. This is a very ugly world, even though it may have some very pretty babes. This makes our hero decide that he is going to take over this world now. He may not have the physical strength of a beast man, but he does have a secret trick up his sleeve. Now, Shirou runs away, but the catgirls don't stop him because he is jumping into the arena. He then stands in front of the slave girl and says that he will fight in place of her. He also tells Mia that she will have to treat the child if he wins the fight. Savannah is asked for guidance, and she says yes because she is entertained. Now, it's Mia versus Shirou, so things are going to get very interesting. The audience laughs at our hero because they don't think he has a single chance of winning. The stance that Shirou takes is that of an amateur, so even Savannah has no hope for him. Mia gets into position, and she says that Shirou is going to regret his decision. She launches at him, but our hero had expected this to happen. This is because felines wiggle their bottoms right before an attack. Mia had done the same thing, so Shirou was able to predict her move. Our hero is able to dodge the attacks, but just barely, so he will need to use his secret technique with the right timing. The catgirl goes at him again, but then Shirou sprinkles something at her. Mia thinks that she is being blinded, but these are actually silver vine fruit galls that Shirou had taken with him from his original world. He's taking a gamble because he does not know if it will work, but based on the giant ant he saw earlier, it is a calculated risk. The ant that was being cut up was similar to an Argentine ant. These ants secrete a substance which is intoxicating to cats. So, by that logic, the giant ant was being cut because it could be used as a drug. Silver vine has something similar, and is considered to be an alternative to catnip. Bro has some serious big brain energy, and it works because Mia is getting visibly affected. She drops to the ground, and Shirou can breathe a sigh of relief because it took him everything to be able to dodge her attacks. He is a human after all, but Mia does not want to give in. Shirou tells her not to fight it, and then he rubs her chin, which is something that cats really enjoy. It works wonders as Mia seems to really get into it, and she even acts as if she's not the only kitty that's excited. She wants more, and the audience is shocked to see what is happening here. Now, Shirou remembers that cats like to be touched in the areas around their tails as well, so he does just that with Mia too. This is working out really well on Mia, as she is behaving as if her kitty water is leaking. The other catgirls in attendance can't believe what they are seeing, as tons of kitty water is indeed released. They get enraged, and they boo Mia because she is supposed to be the perfect warrior. However, she can't control herself or her curvy body anymore. She has no face left to show to the arena ever again. But Shirou also had no other choice, as he has not been sent to this world with any special powers. He then tells the judges that they should not drag this out. They can simply hit the gong and end the fight, which they do immediately. With that, our hero is crowned the winner of this battle, and he strikes a pose, farming immense aura. The audience is still bewildered as to what exactly Bro did to Mia, and then Shirou tells Savannah to fulfill her end of the bargain. She has to treat the child, and she smiles at him. She thinks that Shirou is using some kind of magic, but either way, she tells her girls to carry the child to the medical office. The reaction suggests that slaves who lose don't even get medical attention, which is messed up. Shirou knows that this is supposed to be a basic human right, so he turns to Savannah and asks her if she would like to make a deal. He reveals that he used silver vine powder to defeat Mia, and adds that it can be used as a drug for all the people here. Savannah will stand to make tons of profit if she sells this item, but she says that she could just end Shirou and make the silver vine powder herself. He answers by saying she will never understand how to cultivate it, and she will definitely need him for it. Shirou continues to say that the drug will make anyone go crazy here, and she should definitely hire him. Savannah likes to test the product herself, so she takes a taste and loses her mind. She feels like she's on top of the world right now, but it also causes her to have tons of intrusive thoughts. She demands for Shirou to give her his elephant, because she is way too thirsty to control herself now. Shady acts follow, that too in front of a live audience, but Shirou is fine with it because this is exactly what he wanted. He wants to control this society with Silver Vine, and then completely take over once he has done enough. Savannah has an explosion, so she agrees to join forces with our hero. Done. Savannah tells Shirou that she had an amazing experience, and it wasn't only because of the Silver Vine powder. Our hero does not care, and rushes away, making Savannah feel left out. However, she knows that he must be going to see the child who got injured by Mia. He realizes that he had taken too much time treating Savannah's kitty, so he enters the infirmary in a flash. He then goes to the room where the child is being treated, and she really looks like she is in bad shape. The cat girl treating her scolds Shirou for barging in here, but he knows that the methods being used are from ancient Egypt, so they are not going to work. He tells the cat girl to move aside, as he will treat the child, but of course, the Dr. Cat is not too happy about it. Savannah shows up and tells her to let him do it, which surprises the Dr. Cat. Our hero then uses mugwort leaves to temporarily fix the issue, but he laments the fact that he does not know much about medical treatments. After all, he is more of the food and agriculture guy, but he must come up with some kind of solution. Having said that, he makes it a point to save this girl, no matter how hard it will be for him. After a lot of hard work and effort, Bro sees that his methods are actually working. The little girl opens her eyes, which is a very good sign. She asks where she is, so Shirou explains to her that she had collapsed in the arena. He says she is fine right now, and she thanks him for saving her life. Seeing her face reminds Shirou of Hannah, so it is a very emotional moment for him. He even has tears in his eyes, but then he hears clapping from behind. Savannah, who says that this is a very moving scene. She also has both of Shirou's students behind her in ropes, and she admits that she had no idea why our hero was so focused on saving the little girl. She calls Shirou a villain, but his curvy student tells her that he is a sensei who would never be a villain. Of course, she should not be making Savannah mad, but the cat girl says that Shirou is a very big villain indeed. Anyway, it's thanks to Shirou that his students are still alive, and they get freed from their ropes. They are confused, but Savannah says they should settle down first, before they can talk about what's going on. Savannah tells her guards to find homes for these kids, and also to treat them like honored guests. Shirou glares at Savannah with doubt, and she feels bad about it, so she says that he can take the little girl with him as well, and she won't turn her back into a slave. Now, we see all the humans taking a shower, but all eyes can only fall on a specific set of pillows. They are in something comparable to the hip baths of ancient Greece, but with showers. Shirou sure seems to know a lot about ancient history, and then the curvy babe says that it was a genius move to use silver vine powder for his negotiation. Of course, it was a gamble from our hero, but it did work out, and now he's a business partner with Savannah. They get a house on the outskirts of the town, and Shirou will continue treating the little girl to make sure she is fine and well. Now, everyone is done with their showers, and they put on some kind of attire which makes it seem as if they are in ancient Greece. However, the toga party has to come to a halt, as there is some kind of commotion outside. Shirou is annoyed, so he goes to check on the matter. He opens the door and says that he has the permission to stay here from Savannah. However, to his shock and surprise, there are tons of cat girls charging towards him. The students are scared, but Shirou has no idea why this is happening. Now, we all learn what's up, as the cat girls refer to our hero as Shirou-sama, while also telling him that he is a wonderful male specimen. This is just how Comic Guzzler's logic operates, but Shirou is just happy to know that these girls are not his enemies. After all, it would be a huge problem if these many cat girls attacked him, but it looks like they do need to get their kitties treated. These babes can't control themselves anymore, as they want our hero to mate with them. However, they are not allowed to move any further, as Savannah's guards stop them and say that this is as far as they go. It turns out that the guard stopping the other girls is none other than Mia, which takes Shirou aback. She says that she does not wish to be here either, but she has been assigned to be his bodyguard, so she does not have much of a choice. Over here, catgirls always seek out strong mates, and since Shirou won so easily at the arena, he has now become a Rizzed master. This is also why Savannah sent Mia to protect him, because she knew that something like this would happen to her lover boy. Now, Mia tells the other girls to go back home, but they simply mock her for losing to Shirou in such a pathetic way. Mia is upset because she has no more respect due to her loss, but it's even worse that she has to be guarding a Huma of all people. The super curvy student tells Mia that she may be acting like this, but her face is all red, probably because she also wants to get with Shirou. The cat girl tells her not to push it because she will end her otherwise. Now, we finally learn that the pillow girl's name is Ayasuji, but we will call her Aya from now for convenience. Shirou tells her that she should be thankful to Mia for protecting her, because it would have been bad news if he was attacked by thirsty babes. Aya says that she was just worried about her sensei, but Mia does not like the fact that our hero is acting like such a gentleman. After all, he was the one who embarrassed her in the arena, but at the same time, she is getting a feeling from inside. It could be her beast instincts that are telling her to get with a strong male, and she could also be feeling the after effects of the silver vine drug. Now, Shirou tells her that this whole thing of being his bodyguard actually works out well for Mia too. She does not understand what he means by this, so he explains that she anyway can't go back to the arena after a hilarious loss like the one she had. However, if her warrior status was taken away from her, then people would think of it as punishment for losing to a human. So, for her to be suddenly reassigned as a bodyguard makes things very convenient for the cat girl. This means that Savannah is actually considerate, despite what she lets on. Mia is upset, but she looks cute as she scolds Shirou for acting as if he knows everything. Suddenly, we hear a voice saying that Shirou does talk too much, and it turns out to be none other than Savannah herself, who is silently sitting on the side. She tells our hero that he is reading too much into her beast girl intentions, and he might earn himself an early grave if he tries to cut things too deep. Mia can't believe that Savannah was able to dodge her senses, and even Shirou commends her for being able to conceal her presence so well. The cat girl now wants to pick at her lover boy's brains, so she draws a chair and tells him to sit down. After all, they have a lot to discuss. Now, Shirou and Savannah begin their discussions, accompanied by Aya, Mia, and the male student whose name we still don't know. Savannah confirms the plant's name to be silver vine, and she wants to know how much time it would take to cultivate it on a large scale. Shirou states that the planting season for silver vine is between November and April, with the harvest being from August till September. If the climate is the same as how it is on Earth, then it would roughly take a whole year to get the job done. Savannah is not happy about this, and says that it's way too slow. Shirou says that she can't expect the plants to grow like the Flash, so they will just have to make do with what they have. Even so, Savannah does not find this to be acceptable, as she hates waiting for things to happen. Shirou simply tells her that unless she has a way to accelerate plant growth, there's nothing he can do. Savannah says that she does have a way, but it won't be possible right now. Our hero then asks Savannah if she knows they already have an alternative to silver vine, which is the substance from the giant ants. The cat girl is aware, but the quality from the ants is nowhere close to what the silver vine powder gives. Aya is a bit surprised to hear about giant ants, because she didn't see any on her way here. Not to worry, because Shirou is all we need. He knows that these ants release the substance as a defense mechanism, and the same substance is traded in this world as a luxury item. Savannah likes Shirou's intelligence and perceptiveness, as she explains that their neighboring country is called Antinos. This place is ruled by the ants, and it looks like the cat girls are in a constant battle with them. Savannah mentions how they release the same substance during fights, and Shirou states that it's called iridomyrmecin. Savannah does not care for such long names, but she does care about how weak her people are to this scent. It renders them unable to fight, so the cat girls are never able to go all out against the giant ants. Since it's so rare to beat them, the substance trades at a very high price. Of course, now that our hero is here, the situation has changed significantly. Shirou asks Savannah what she has in mind, but she tells him not to play dumb with her, because she knows he can find a way for them to win the war against the ants. The queen catgirl wants to end all the ants and take all the substances they have on them. This way, they can make a crazy amount of money selling it here, as well as to other nations. It's fixed now that Savannah is going to use all of our hero's knowledge to get one over the ants and end the struggle for good. She definitely has an evil aura around her now, as she does not intend to spare any mercy for the ants. Shirou figures this is not the time to question her morality, so he asks her where the closest ant colony is from here. Savannah points it out and says that it would be the easiest place for them to attack. Shirou then says that he should scout the area, but the catgirl has no idea what he means by this. Shirou states that he needs to figure out whether the knowledge he has of the Argentine ants from his world can also apply to the ants of this world. This is why he wishes to capture some ants alive and dissect them, so as to have proper receipts. This may seem to be a bit extra, but if our hero has a specimen, then he will be able to create methods of countering them with ease. Savannah decides to give it a shot, but she maintains that this will be more of a proper attack rather than just sneaking around for information. The beast folk are not known to be sneaky, so she wishes to keep up the same image. Savannah tells Shirou that he must conquer this colony properly, and he doesn't have much of a choice, so he says okay. Now, Savannah hands over an orb to our hero, which was first taken from the dryads. This orb can be used for communication purposes, so she tells him to contact her once he is ready to go. She leaves, and then Aya asks Shirou if he really wants to dissect these ants. The make student also says that it's a bit much, even for Shirou standards, but then our hero changes his whole expression as if he's a completely different person. He says that he was simply doing a short and sweet deception to trick Savannah, and he does not intend on any dissection. He believes that a human's true nature is shown in his intelligence, not in his appearance. He must be a caring man if he wants to be someone that Hannah looks up to, and he believes that the ants should also be treated equally. However, to understand the assignment properly, he will need to engage with them and find out the truth. This whole thing was a ploy to buy more time, and the students are pleased to see that their sensei really is the MVP. Now, we see the little girl from earlier, who is happy to know that her savior really is a kind man. Shirou realizes that she has still not told us her name yet, so she reveals it to be Fiona. She wishes to go along with our hero on his mission, but he says it's too dangerous for her, as there will be some strong enemies. Shirou would much rather have Fiona go back to her parents once her wounds have healed. Sadly, she states that her parents are slaves her as well, so she does not want to be left alone with the beast folk. Shirou is still a bit reluctant, but he figures he has no choice, so he'll take Fiona along. In order to keep her safe, he will definitely need to come up with some kind of weapon against the ants. Mia is in attendance and she does not know what weapon a human would use here, but Bro is a genius, so he already has his solution. Basically, he is going to use red hot chili peppers but not the band to make capsaicin spray, which is in essence an insect repellent. He now gets to work on his project to repel the bugs, and he probably dreams of Californication while doing it. Mia, on the other hand, thinks his idea sucks because this weapon is not even good enough to kill the enemy. She then decides to train because in battle, the only thing she can rely on is her muscle power. Aya thinks that Mia is very mean, but the male student says that the catgirl does have a point. How will these humans use insect repellent in a fight? However, Bro seems to be glad that Mia has left the building. Everyone else is confused, so our hero reveals that while he does wish to make insect repellent, his true goal lies somewhere else. He actually wants to make insecticide, which is a lot deadlier than any repellent would be. This naturally shocks everyone because it's kinda out of pocket. Anyway, Shirou says that in the university, they would grow Dalmatian chrysanthemums, which naturally had a substance which could kill insects, known as perethrin. Even a small amount is enough to end an insect, thus making it a very effective poison. Our hero will extract some of it with ethanol as a catalyst, and this will give him a great weapon. The male student says that they should not kill any of the ants, and Shirou agrees with him. However, he knows that if the beast folk found out about the insecticide, then they would distribute it amongst their troops and cause a massacre. This is why only humans can keep this weapon, and it is only to be used when their own lives are in danger. The male student still feels that they should tell the catgirls about the weapon, but Aya tells the fool to shut up. Fiona is on board with whatever Shirou says, but he still feels bad that he's dragging these innocent people into such a horrific experience. It's time to make the insecticide now, so they need to go to the laboratory. Thanks to the plot armor, this house from an ancient era magically seems to have a lab, which also contains dried chrysanthemum flowers. We are not sure if the lab also got transferred to this other world because it's not clearly mentioned anywhere, but we'll just assume that has happened for now. There's a lot of flowers, so the male student complains about having to crush them by hand. Aya explains that the insect poison is sensitive to heat, so it would be better to cool it with their hands. After tons of hard work, the team is able to let the ethanol sit for a few days, and the perethrin has separated. Shirou wants to increase the purity, so he uses a rotary evaporator to get the work done. All that's needed now is to combine some metal containers from their world with the plant stems, and the insecticide is finally complete. The repellent for the beast folk is also ready, although there isn't much of it due to limited ethanol. Either way, it's a good job done by everyone involved. However, Shirou says they need to make more repellent, which makes Aya drop to the floor. She does not want to work any further, but Shirou says that they're lucky the lab still has power. This confirms that the lab too had traveled with our hero to this new world, and for some reason it is still connected to Japan's electricity. Regardless, it's time to report to Savannah and tell her that the repellent is ready. Shirou does his talk with the cat queen, and they decide to move ahead with the mission in 1 week. Shirou also gets named the leader of this task force, with Mia acting as his military commander. Time passes by, and we fast forward to a day before the big mission. It's actually night time, and we can see Mia in bed, feeling a bit nervous about what will happen tomorrow. She is ready to do whatever it takes to get back her honor, because she really wants to make everyone forget how humiliating it was for her to lose the way she did. Having said that, she gets some flashbacks of what happened to her during the battle, and it seems to awaken her intrusive thoughts. The catgirl is done with fooling around, so she decides to step out of her room and move towards Shirou's. She sneaks into his room, but he wakes up from the noise and tells her to go back to sleep. Otherwise, she will regret it the next day. Mia is in no mood for that, as she points her sword at our hero and tells him that whenever she thinks back to the day of her loss, her body starts to ache, and there is nothing she can do about it. The shady intentions are very clear, as Mia tells Shirou to take responsibility for what he had done to her. Bro is a Giga Chad, so he only laments how strong the hormonal instincts are for catgirls. He decides to give Mia's kitty his elephant, because he can't afford to have her distracted during a crucial time tomorrow. As the two of them engage in unspeakable acts, Shirou tells us that he is aware Mia is in this state due to what he had done with the silver vine powder. She has lost her mind because of him, but even so, he does not feel guilty about it at all. He wonders if coming to this world has diluted his sense of ethics, but that's just how we roll on Comic Guzzlers. Now, we notice someone else peeping in on the fun, and it happens to be Aya, who is surprised to see her sensei doing such things with Mia. Now, we move to Savannah's bathroom because curvy bodies are in abundance for these panels. She is thinking about Shirou, as she knows he is hiding something from her. Whatever it may be, Savannah does have some ideas on how to deal with him. Things are getting really interesting now for everyone involved, so it will be nice to see how it all turns out in the war tomorrow. The team does set out for the mission, and it takes a few days of travel for them to reach their destination, because there is no Uber you can book in a fantasy world. Shirou and the squad take a good look at the ant colony, and it looks just as creepy as one would imagine, with tall, uneven structures that are straight out of a horror movie. After looking at the colony properly, Shirou says that there are supposed to be giant anthills like these in Darwin, Australia, but even those are nowhere nearly as tall as the ones he's seeing here. Fiona is scared, so she holds on to her savior for support, and Shirou figures that they will need to go for the peaceful approach at first. If the negotiations do happen to break down, then they will have to fight and use the insect repellent to retreat till they come up with another plan. Unfortunately, Mia does not agree with our hero's methods of peace, and she even calls Shirou pathetic for wanting to resort to such measures when he has catgirls serving under him. With that, she jumps off the cliff and charges towards the ants with the intention of battle. Our hero is not too happy about Mia trying to start a fight right from the get-go, but as they have no choice now, they too need to go in and tackle the situation properly. Mia kicks things off by slashing down one of the ant men, but she is surprised that the guards have already started to show up on such short notice. Shirou also arrives and tells her not to kill any ants, although she's more impressed by how quickly he was able to make it here. Shirou now tells Mia to put her sword down, because he wants to begin with peaceful communications. Mia is not too confident in what our hero can achieve, but he goes ahead with it and tells the ants that he is not here to fight them. He says he wants to see if they can have friendly relations, but these giant ants don't seem to be the friendly type. On that note, he tells the others to bring out a cart, which he presents to the ants as a gift. The cart is filled with barrels containing nectar, which makes for an enjoyable meal to these ants. None of the students or even Fiona knew about this, but Shirou knows what he is doing. The nectar is sugar and amino acids extracted from plants, which is the perfect source of nutrition for the ants. He then tells them that if they are willing to be friends with the beast folk, then he is willing to supply this nectar to them on a daily basis. Things look to be on a positive note, as the ants don't attack Shirou, but actually check the nectar barrels. Our hero knows that regular supplies of nectar could help him turn these giant ants into mercenaries for him, so he just hopes that this is enough for them to become friends with him. Aya is quite impressed by what her sensei has done, because he has clearly planned way ahead for this. Now, the ants point at our hero, and they seem to be saying something to him. Both Aya and Fiona are shocked to see that these monsters can talk, which means they have an advanced sense of intelligence. Shirou knows that ants can communicate by vibrating their petioles to produce sounds. Our hero can appreciate the effort these ants are making, so he offers his hand to them and says that this is a sign of friendship to the humans. In an image that no one from this world would have imagined, Shirou and the lead ant shake hands, and the students celebrate this with Fiona. It's a great moment and everyone is happy, apart from Mia, but then something happens. A giant figure shows up from behind the lead ant, but it looks more like a catgirl than an ant. This figure scolds the ants for shaking hands with the enemy, and Shirou is concerned by what he sees. This strange cat figure gives her mana to the ants, and tells them to end all the foreigners who have come to their land. Suddenly, the color of the ants' eyes change, and they become violent. This is a bad sign, and there clearly seems to be an impostor somewhere. Shirou can't understand why the ants have become hostile, but he needs to act fast, so he tells the catgirls to begin the battle. The main aim is to use the repellent and retreat, but Mia confronts the lead ant and says that it will just be better if she and he sort things out by themselves. After all, they are the strongest fighters from their respective sides, so the two of them commence the encounter. An intense battle begins, and the fighters give it everything they've got. After a bit of fighting, Mia figures that she and the lead ant are evenly matched, but then the opponent launches some kind of long-range attack on her. She is able to block it with her shield, but this is only because Shirou had told her about this move in advance. Unfortunately for the catgirl, even though she has blocked the attack, its aroma is enough to affect her. However, before she succumbs to temptation, Shirou throws something at her, which is revealed to be cot leaf powder. It is a mild stimulant, but the pain from the blow is also enough to bring Mia back to her sense. Now she reaches towards the insect repellent and decides to use it on the lead ant. However, there seems to be some kind of explosion when she launches it at her enemy. The match is over now, as the lead ant falls to the ground, poisoned and ended. Shirou notices that Mia is unharmed, but the problem is that what she used was lethal, which means it's not repellent. Mia actually has insecticide with her, but our hero is unable to understand how she got her hands on it. The cat girl simply smiles at Shirou and teases him by asking how this has happened indeed. Shirou is in no mood to play around, so he asks Mia how she was able to access the insecticide. The cat girl once again fools around by saying the exact same thing, but this is not the time to be playing games. The other ants have run away from the scene after taking a look at what their opponents have. Mia is told that they are escaping, and she decides to turn over to the dark side. The cat girl now wants to end them all with the insecticide, but before she can do that, Shirou lands a punch on her face. He does not have the strength of beast folk, so Mia is ready to counter him, but Bro thinks fast and sprays the silver vine powder on her. The cat girl is incapacitated now, as Shirou scolds her for being so reckless. After all, the insecticide was only to be used as a last resort if their lives were in danger, but the foolish Mia used it without a care in the world. Shirou now puts on a scary face and tells Mia that he is the commander of this force, not her. He then rebukes her for messing up the second time, and this is enough to spook Mia out. She drops to the ground and accepts the scolding, because she did ruin the whole plan. Now, our hero walks around the area and sees the ant soldiers who had been subject to the insecticide. He still can't figure out how Mia got a hold of this lethal weapon, but then he has a hunch as to what may have happened. He still needs to deal with the problem at hand, so he figures he'll talk to Mia once she's ready to answer him properly. Our hero now takes a look at the remaining ant-men, who have fled the area. The male student asks Shirou if they should go after these ants, but he says no. They had an unusual escape route, so our hero wonders what's up. After all, ants usually work with pheromones and stick together, but in this case they scattered as if they were trying to protect something or someone. Shirou uses his big brain energy to identify the one area that was avoided, so he is sure something important must be in this area. He brings the team along with him, and soon enough, they come across an entrance to some kind of cave. Shirou takes a closer look and confirms all his suspicions. This may look like a normal cave at first, but it is actually concealing tons of ant hills. The cave goes pretty far inside, so the important thing they're protecting must be at the end of it. The team lights up some torches and enters the cave, but Fiona wants to know what it is that the ants wanted to protect. Our hero seems to have an idea, and his guess turns out to be right, as the subject being guarded is none other than the ant queen. She's smoking a pipe and smiling normally, so perhaps she's like a chill guy. She can speak their language and says that the humans have done well to find this place. Shirou refers to her as the ant queen in front of everyone else, but luckily, this one won't give birth to a Baru or a Maruam. Anyway, Shirou can't understand why there is a queen ant at the border area, but then he realizes that there is a queen ant at every establishment. As a matter of fact, there are some ant species that have multiple queens too. The ant queen knows that Shirou and his troops have the strange weapon with them, so she asks her own soldiers to stand down. Aya is surprised that the ant queen was able to identify them as humans, but Shirou says that it wasn't even a voice. Rather, the ant queen is communicating with everyone through a voice in their heads. It's a strange ability for sure, but what's even stranger is that the ant queen resembles a curvy human babe. She decides to explain this to him by saying a long time ago, the woman in white appeared in their country. For generations from that time onwards, the queen ants were given this appearance and also the telepathic ability to communicate with each other. The woman in white bestowed mana upon the ants, which made the soldiers become more violent and aggressive. This also meant that the queen ants could use their soldiers as they pleased. Shirou knows such things also happen in his original world, as aphids are known to secrete nectar to lure other ants into becoming their mercenaries. The nectar is mixed with dopamine to make the effect even more addictive, which in turn makes the ants more aggressive. A lot of exposition has happened, so now Shirou bows down to the queen and says sorry to her for allowing her forces to be killed. He was the one in charge, and a true Giga Chad must take responsibility for his actions. The ant queen says it's fine because conflict is inevitable, and it's the woman in white who wills it. This could be the same figure we saw earlier who turned the ants from Willem de friend to Willem de foe. Now, the Ant Queen says that they may not have a lot of time left, because once the word of her defeat spreads, other male ants from other colonies will come here to mate with her. Naturally, this shocks Fiona, because she is a best girl who does not need to hear such things. Shirou tells us that not just ants, but bees can also exhibit similar behavior, wherein they steal the queens of other species and fertilize them Diddy style. What our hero finds horrifying is that the species over here are doing the same thing despite having intelligence on par with humans. The Ant Queen says that the specifics don't matter, as she needs to be ended before the other males get here. But then, Fiona tells the Ant Queen not to give up. Her words surprise everyone, but it's not really too left field. After all, Fiona came close to death herself so many times, and yet she made it through because Shirou saved her life. She believes that everyone can live as long as they're alive, and this hits hard. The Ant Queen now extends her hand to Shirou and confirms his name, after which she asks him if he would like to take her as his new slave girl. Our hero is being suffocated in her Super XL-sized pillows as she hugs him, but men of culture would not mind going out this way. Shirou is still a bit taken aback by this suggestion, but the Ant Queen reveals that her own mother was dealt with quite horribly by other males. She saw where her mom was tossed away, and it was not a good sight. Her mother had basically laid eggs and was to look after them, but a parasite came along and ate all the eggs, leaving her to only hold empty eggshells in pain. Seeing that she had failed her job, the other ant-men decided to have their way with her in the form of mating practice, which is a very sad situation. This Ant Queen had to watch from a distance, but she could not do anything about it at all, which made the whole ordeal even worse for her. Some days later, her mother's body was left lying near the ant hill, so she hugged her and cried her heart out. It's a very tragic tale and almost as messed up as Eren Yeager, as the Ant Queen believes that none of this would have happened if the woman in white had not shown up. After all, the ant-men were like Paul Rudd before she dropped by. Back to the present. The Ant Queen tells Shirou that she does not want to end up the same way her mom did. If she is to become a slave, then she would much rather become our hero's slave girl. She says that it is the law of this world for the loser to become the slave, and it applies to insects as well. Over here, she is at least getting the chance to choose whom she serves. Shirou just wants to catch his breath, and once he does, he realizes that this is a long-term survival strategy. He then decides that he will take the Ant Queen with him, but it also raises some doubts. Shirou knows how tricky this can be, but he is sure that Savannah will allow it if he tells her that he is doing this for research purposes. The Ant Queen is thankful to him for his efforts, but Shirou is not interested in doing shady things with a woman whose kitty could possibly be the size of his body. He just wants to use her and her minions to make the substance that can be used to intoxicate the catgirls. If he can circulate this substance properly, then he will be able to take over the beast world with ease. Shirou also considers making the ants multiply to the point where he has an underground army which he can use to take down Savannah when the time comes. Bro is thinking like a villain, but as long as this is not Attack on Titan, we should be good. Aya simply says that her sensei keeps ending up with strange women around him, but the male student says that this strange woman is more like a monster. Fiona, though, feels that it's good to have more friends, which is a sweet thought. Now, Shirou brings out the communication orb and gets in touch with Savannah to let her know what has gone down. He tells her that they have won the battle, but only mentions using the repellent and not the insecticide. He also says that the nectar he brought along can be used as a bargaining chip, which means that the peaceful way is the best way. He asks the Cat Queen what she has to say on the matter, but she only states that this can be reviewed once they get back here. She does say that our hero can take his time while coming back, but she has her own evil intentions behind this. One of Savannah's girls shows up and informs her that things are going well, after which we learn something big. The cat girls actually have access to the laboratory because they managed to get a hold of an entry card, which they refer to as a piece of paper. This explains how Mia was able to get some of the insecticide that was made in the very same lab. Anyway, Savannah does not want Shirou to know about this, so she tells all her girls to get to work and clean the lab back to exactly how it was before. Now, we move back to Shirou, who asks the Ant Queen for her real name. She reveals it to be Sura, and then he says that now she is his slave girl, so he is free to do as he pleases with her curvy body. He, of course, means experiments, but Sura seems to have other shady things on her mind. After these experiments are done, Shirou brings the Ant Queen and the other ants with him to the beast folk town. Our hero also manages to convince Savannah to hold off on the attack due to his peaceful methods. But he does not know what she has been up to. He is amazed to see how hard the ants are willing to work as well, because they are able to clear out a whole space underneath the lab in optimum time. With this kind of space, Shirou will be able to give the ants shelter while also being able to carry on with his experiments. We can see that Sura likes to tease and provoke Shirou during his sessions with her, but that could be because of her traumatic past. He knows that he is not doing this with good intentions, but he hopes to help Sura recover to some extent. Shirou brings out an injection which is filled with reserpine in order to control dopamine levels. This material can be obtained from snake root, and it is supposed to work on both humans as well as ants. As expected, it works on Sura too, and she seems to be feeling really good. Suddenly, she can hear a little child crying, so she looks around and finds herself as a little girl in front of her. Sura is clearly having a hallucination, but she has enough control to stay within her senses, so she sees what her younger self is crying about. She is sad because her mom is no more, and she wonders if this is how things will turn out for her as well. This makes her scared, but then the older Sura hugs the younger Sura. She says sorry because she can't return their mother, but what she can do is hold her close. The younger Sura finally smiles, and she thanks her older self for her love and warmth before disappearing. Now, Sura comes back to her proper senses and notices that there is no one in her arms. Shirou is there, so he asks her how she is feeling, to which she says that it's a bit strange for her. All this time, losing her mother had bothered her so much, but now she is more at peace with it. It's just as our hero had thought about the woman in white. He now knows that the mana she was giving the male ants is similar to dopamine, which allows her to control them as she pleases. Dopamine can make you feel good, but excessive amounts can make you irrational and aggressive too. So the reserpine seems to have suppressed it in Sura. If Shirou can give regular doses of this reserpine to the ants, then he is sure that he will be able to free them from the same control. Now, Sura hugs our hero again and thanks him for freeing her from this burden. It's a funny scene as Shirou is less than half her size, so he tells her to let go of him. The Ant Queen says that there is no need to be shy because she can sense his longing for a motherly figure in his life. Bro is taken aback by this, but Sura knows that he has had a tough childhood, so she wishes to spoil him for a bit. She hugs our hero and pats him on the head, which must have been nice and comforting, but she also makes Shirou feel shy. He feels like he's the one getting a therapy session, even though he's supposed to be healing Sura and her ants. She teases him by saying she's much wiser than her age, so he declares that she truly is a queen. However, something seems to be happening to Sura now, so Shirou asks her what's up. She says that a sudden feeling has come over her, and now she wants our hero to hold her. He does not get the meaning of this, but then Sura states that she feels so good, she can't control herself. She is super thirsty now, so all that talk about being a mother figure to Shirou was probably done with Alabama intentions. Shirou does not even hesitate as he goes ahead with the shady session, thinking that it could be a part of Sura's treatment. We honestly don't know how such a session is even possible, considering the size differences between these two. So Shirou needs to be packing an actual elephant for him to be able to make Sura feel anything at all. In the middle of these unspeakable acts, our hero does have some thoughts as to why things have ended up this way. Could be that the woman in white was controlling the queen ant's pheromones. This is because a queen's pheromones can prevent other female ants from mating. If the mating is not kept in check, then there could be population explosion, which is probably what the woman in white had in mind. Now that Sura's pheromones are no longer under the woman in white's control, An entire lifetime's worth of intrusive thoughts have come out at the same time. It's a pretty solid explanation, and Sura says that she hasn't felt this good in such a long time. She had been a queen ant all her life, but after these explosions, she can finally feel like a normal woman again. The couple gets done with their shady acts, and decide to rest for a bit while the men of culture at Comic Guzzlers applaud our hero for achieving something even Ceres could not. While they lay asleep, Shirou wakes up to Sura talking as she also wakes up. She begs him to defeat the woman in white because she wants to avenge her mother and save the people of her country. Shirou pats her on the head and is glad that his queen babe has finally said what her heart desired. However, he asks her if she is sure about this, because opposing the woman in white will most likely lead to the people of her country suffering. Sura is fine with that because she understands that sacrifices will have to be made. She just does not want her people to be controlled by the woman in white. Our hero is surprised to see how kind and considerate the Ant Queen is, even though she has had to live through so much pain for so long. He had thought that this world was based on the strong bullying the weak, but it seems that not all the inhabitants are bad people. Now, Shirou heads towards the library, but his students and Fiona come running towards him with bad news. The male student says that the beast folk are leaving to invade Antinos, which does not make sense. What's worse is that they also have a full supply of insecticide, which should not be possible at all. Shirou now thinks back to his hunch on what the cause could have been, and it turns out that he was right about there being an impostor among us. The panel shifts to Aya now, who is giving off a very creepy smile. Of course, Shirou is still bothered about Savannah getting her hands on the insecticide, and the male student says that it could have been one of their own who let this happen. Shirou raises his hand and asks him not to say any more, but this is really odd behavior from him. It's almost as if he knows who did it and is trying to protect the saboteur. That's when Aya steps up and thanks her sensei for covering for her. She then smiles and says that it was indeed she who had given all the information about the insecticide to the beast folk. Before the mission had started, Aya had shown Mia how to make insecticide after she did shady things with Shirou. She then gave her own ID card to Savannah so that she and her catgirls could access the lab. Now, the beast folk can manufacture insecticide for as long as they want, but Shirou wants to know why Aya would betray him. She says that even though she believes in her sensei's mission of peace, but that's only because she adores him. Personally, she does not care about peace as long as Shirou was fine. However, our hero went on to volunteer for the military expedition, so she does not want him to keep putting himself in danger. After all, he always puts his life at risk whenever he volunteers for such stuff. This was why she figured that it would be better to hand off the insecticide to the beast folk and end the ants completely. Aya looks like a total villain now, so even Fiona asks her how she could do this to them. Shirou, however, simply walks past Aya without saying a word. She asks him if he is going to scold her, but he smiles and says that there's no way he could blame his precious students for this. He is going to meet with Savannah because it's not the fault of the tools. He has to convince the Cat Queen to stop misusing his weapons, but his actions surprise everyone, including Aya. After all, the curvy student may have just caused a massacre, and yet nothing was said to her. Now, our hero confronts Savannah in the audience chamber and even scares her with the face he's making. Shirou wastes no time at all and grabs Savannah, after which he orders her to stop using the insecticide. The guards get ready to attack him, but Savannah tells them to stand down for now. She then states that she simply cannot stop invading, especially after the first success with the advance force. With so many corpses already, it's too late to turn back now. Savannah then tells Shirou that he should lead her suppression force, which takes him aback. The Cat Queen says that our hero knows how to use high weapons the best, and he already has tons of knowledge about the ants too. Shirou tells her to stop acting goofy, but Savannah smiles at him and asks if he really thought that everything would go according to his plan. Shirou thinks back to when he had first suspected Aya of leaking the insecticide, but chose not to say anything about it. He must have definitely expected this to happen, and Savannah says that it was just easier for him to ignore it. She then says that humans think they are so great because of their intelligence, but it is that same trait which leads them to make weapons such as insecticide. The Cat Queen then tells our hero that she and he are the same type of villain. This is exactly why she likes him, so she hopes to heat a favorable response from Shirou on leading the suppression force. She also says that she liked the part where Bro choked her, which goes on to show she is still thirsty for his elephant water. Of course, Shirou is absolutely devastated now, because he does not know what to do next. He goes to Sura and tells her everything, but she asks him why he is hesitating. She knows that sacrifices will be needed to stop the woman in white, so she is fine with the bloodshed. The Ant Queen then states that it would be better if Shirou did become a general, because then he would be able to end the fighting sooner than the beast folk. She is ready to support him too, with details about Antinos which should give him a crazy advantage. However, Shirou starts laughing like a maniac and says that he now even has approval from the Ant Queen. Sura is a bit concerned by his demeanor now, as he asks her for all the information he can get to end the enemy once and for all. His eyes have the look of a crazed murderer, but Sura feels that it's only because he has to convince himself to fight this battle. After all, he has been under so much stress ever since he came to this world, that too despite not having any special powers. It is quite impressive that he has survived until now, but even a Giga Chad can sometimes give in to despair. Sura says sorry to Shirou for him being in such a situation, but she does trust him to deliver. He thanks her for the support and begins his plan to attack. We move to the war planning room now, where our hero has come up with a strategy for Savannah. However, the route he suggests does not make any sense to the Cat Queen. This because the route would require permission from the dragonfolk. Just as this is said, we can see some dragon girls taking a bath, and one of them senses that someone is going to be coming here. Of course, we need a bit of a flashback to our hero accepting Savannah's offer as well. The Cat Queen was quite confident that he would do it, but Shirou had one condition, which was to free all the slaves from the arena. Of course, Savannah did not take too kindly to this, because she could not simply just release all the slaves. The arena is a major source of money, and she was not ready to part with it. Shirou simply said that he'd walk away if she refused, so Savannah told him not to get so arrogant. However, she also understood that the strong need to be rewarded, as that is the way of the beast folk. To start, she would free 1/3 of the slaves, and then she would release another 1/3 after Shirou would beat the ants. Our hero asked about the remaining slaves, but Savannah said that she needed them for the arena. If Shirou did want them so badly, then he could simply buy them all with his reward money. Bro is fine with these terms because it means he will have to fight for their freedom. Of course, he'll need some money for this, but he seems to have a plan. We now move back to the present, where Shirou is a nation military commander. He lays out his new plan for the invasion of Antinos, but the catgirls are simply taken aback by his Rizzed. Since he is a human in such a high position, the girls figure that he made the new weapon, and the simple thought of it is making their kitty water flow. Shirou lays down a map which has super accurate information about the layout of their target, thanks to the information he got from Sura. Shirou says that even though they have the insecticide, the ants have a massive advantage in numbers, so a frontal assault does not make sense. It would be better to attack the base from the flanks, but Savannah calls him a fool because the intended strike spot is a wasteland known as the Molten Desert. Anyone who sets foot there will lose their life without any exception. However, Shirou feels that it's the same reason why the enemy will never expect them to attack from there. He just needs to find a way to get through the desert, and he has a perfect attack plan. With the knowledge he has gained in this world, he is certain that they will be able to cross the desert without any problems. Savannah is impressed by his confidence, but he says that there are enough historical examples for him to believe in his plan. For instance, in 1917, T.E. Lawrence led 50 Bedouins through the desert and gained victories against the Ottoman Empire. Bro wants to do something similar, but he does have something else to worry about, which is the dragonfolk. They are strong people who have their territory bordering the area. If they were to pass with weapons, then a fight would be inevitable. The beast folk and the dragon folk are rivals, so it's not like Savannah can talk to them either. In that case, our hero decides to meet the dragon folk personally and get their permission to cross. Savannah doesn't believe Shirou can convince them, but he says that humans are the weakest race in this world, so the dragons won't be as tense while negotiating with him alone. Savannah once again appreciates his confidence, so she says he can go ahead and try his plan. Now, Shirou thinks about dealing with the dragon folk, but his research has not been focused on reptiles, so he needs to get some new information about them. Suddenly, Shirou notices some catgirls bullying Mia, who is in pretty bad shape. She has become a fallen warrior due to her failures, so the other catgirls bully her as they please. The girls seem to want to do shady things to Mia, but then Shirou shows up and asks them what they are doing. At first, they think he's a slave, so they tell him to buzz off, but then they realize that this is none other than Shirou, who is the new general of their army. They figure it's best not to mess with him, so when he tells them to get lost, they simply make cute faces and listen to our aura farmer. Shirou tends to Mia now, but she says that all of this is his fault. Her earlier behavior in front of Shirou at the ant colony was reported to Savannah, so Mia can never return to the arena again. That is why she has now been reduced to living in the slums. Bro can't believe that such a respected warrior would end up like this only because of a few mistakes, but it looks like this country is almost as harsh as YouTube's policies. Now, Mia asks our hero for the silver vine powder, because she really needs it to take the edge off. Shirou feels bad for her, so he offers a whole vial of the powder, which makes Mia's face light up. She enjoys the silver vine powder, but it makes her the opposite of an angel, so she has her way with our hero. He also doesn't resist because he has already been violated once before. After they are done playing elephants and kitties, Shirou notices that Mia has calmed down a lot. The cat girl now realizes that this was all her own doing, and she should not be blaming Shirou for it. Now, our hero asks her what she would do if he told her there was a way to bounce back from her current situation. It's hard to believe for Mia, but then Shirou tells her that he wants her to sell the silver vine powder in the town. He instructs her to sell it cheap at first, and then raise the prices once she gets more customers. If she does well enough, he will even give her 10% of the profits, which is quite generous. Mia suspects something, so she asks Shirou what his true intentions are. However, he says that he only wants to make up for putting her in this position. A lot has happened between them, including multiple explosions, so it's almost as if they are tied to one another. This is why he wants to know if she will take him up on his offer or not. Seeing this gesture makes Mia very emotional, and she says that Shirou is a very kind man. She had him wrong the whole time, and she hugs him for giving her yet another chance to prove herself. Of course, Bro has other plans up his sleeve, as he gives us an evil smile and reveals that he wants the silver vine powder to flow into town. He can always make extra by supplementing it with the ant substance, so there will be no shortage. The plan Savannah has is to sell the silver vine powder only to the rich people, because she does not want to put the whole country at risk. However, Shirou wants it to spread even to soldiers and other lower ranks who would normally never have access to it. This way, he will be able to slowly take over the entire beast folk nation and have them under his control, just the way he wants it. Now, we move to Shirou making his way to the dragon folk nation, thanks to Sura's highly accurate map. The male student, who somehow still doesn't have a name given to us, worries about them getting attacked. Aya says that if they do, then she doesn't mind her sensei using her as a shield, although she's pretty much the reason everyone is in this mess. Shirou has no time to waste on these people, as he notices a cute little dragon girl on the ground, who looks like she's injured. The girl asks for help, as some rocks had rolled onto her, damaging her legs in the process. Shirou goes to help her, but he is warned that it could be a trap. Bro does not care because a real man of culture would never let a little girl die simply because he refused to help. He then applies some ointment on her legs, which he had made back at the arena. Slowly the pain subsides from the little girl's legs, and she is very happy with Shirou. The dragon girl hugs him and calls him her savior, but Shirou tells her not to be so extra. as she needs to rest and recover. The dragon girl looks at our hero with flirty eyes and says that he is a good guy, although he does seem to have a gloomy feeling in his heart. Shirou is surprised to hear this, but the dragon girl does not give him a chance to think, as she says they should get going. It turns out that she knows the group wants to go to the dragonfolk town, and she offers to guide them there. The male student takes a look at her outfit and comments on it, but also concludes that every girl in this world wears something similar. However, Shirou tells him to chill and not stare at the dragon girl's clothes. Even Fiona hilariously refers to him as Glasses Kuin and says that he is very naughty. At least we now have a name for him, but Shirou feels that the dragon girl recovered a bit too quickly even with his ointment. He feels that dragonfolk may heal faster than most, but there is something suspicious here for sure. After some time, the group reaches the spot, and the dragon girl welcomes them to the town. She also refers to them as her guests, so the team considers themselves lucky that they ran into her. They might even reach earlier than expected, but Aya is still jealous that the dragon girl hugged her sensei. Shirou has other things on his mind, such as Savannah being on the defensive back in town, as well as him sending Mia to sell the silver vine powder. Everything should be under control for now, but our hero can't just relax over here. He will need to get back as soon as possible, and then we get a better look at the dragon town. It looks quite nice and cultural, which makes it quite different from the beast folk nation. Shirou can see that people are very lively here, so he asks if there is some kind of festival going on. The dragon girl reveals that there is indeed one, which is called the Dragon God Festival. This is because the dragon storm season is approaching, but Shirou does not know what it is about. The dragon girl changes the subject and asks everyone to enjoy the sights, just like the viewers of Comic Guzzlers normally do with some blur. Now, Glasses asks his sensei if it was really a good idea to bring Aya along with them for this trip. Bro can understand the reason for this question, but he feels it's better to have Aya with them than with Savannah. She asks the boys if they have a problem with her, but they funnily say no. It's time for another ride, but on a wyvern, which takes everyone by surprise. It turns out that they are the main method of transportation here, but even so, the humans need to be careful not to let it throw them off. It's a scenic view from the top, but also a little scary. Eventually, the team reaches the castle of the Dragon Emperor, who has the form of an old human male. Shirou sits down with him and makes an introduction regarding his position at the Beast Folk army. Our hero states that he wishes to gain permission to cross the Molten Desert, as he and his troops are making a move on Antinos. The Dragon Emperor is actually more interested in the fact that the Beast Girls have chosen a human to be their commander. Shirou now explains that Antinos is currently under the control of the woman in white, who is forcing their soldiers to attack the neighboring countries. Shirou also has reports that the ants are making weapons, so they could be a threat to the dragonfolk as well. He then says that he is willing to put their past behind and join forces with him. He wants to fight alongside the dragonfolk, and it makes sense to the Dragon Emperor, but there is one problem. Our hero is too late, as the dragonfolk have already formed an alliance with Antinos, which is the worst possible news we could have gotten. The Dragon Emperor then states that it is customary for his country's imperial princess to marry during the Dragon God Festival. So, the current princess, Ruri, has decided to marry the Empress of Antinos, who is none other than the woman in white. This is shocking information, but Glasses does not understand how different races are getting married. That's when we learn that dragonfolk don't care about race or even gender, as two girls are getting married here. As long as the wedding is completed, the dragons and the ants will be tied by blood, thus making it an alliance. Shirou really can't catch a break, because if this happens, then the beast folk will not stand a chance at all. He personally does not mind having the country destroyed, but this way he will not be able to stop the woman in white. He tells the Dragon Emperor that the woman in white manipulates people into attacking their own kind, so he should not trust her at all. The Dragon Emperor says he has big brain energy too, so he does not trust her at all, but the problem is that his daughter wishes to marry her. We now meet the Imperial Princess, Ruri, And in yet another shocking revelation, it's the very same girl Shirou had helped on his way here. Ryuri laughs and says that she has been caught, but also enjoys the surprised look on our hero's face. The Dragon Emperor admits that his daughter is a little unusual, as she likes to play pranks on our guests. This confirms that she was faking her injury from before, but the Dragon Emperor does admit that even though she is a child, Ryuri's powers as the Dragon Princess are real. Her heart is connected to the Dragon God, so she can see into the hearts of others, as well as the future itself. For generations, the dragonfolk have staked their own futures on these prophecies. Shirou wants to present his argument, but the Dragon Emperor says that his daughter's decision is absolute, so he better go back to Savannah. Bro turns around to make his exit, but then someone suddenly shows up behind him and says that he looks unseemly. Shirou is surprised that this person was able to get behind him so easily, and then the Dragon Emperor comments that this woman seems to like making sudden appearances. He welcomes her as his guest from Antinos, or in other words, his new daughter-in-law. He hopes that the attitude of the people from the Beast Folk Nation has not offended the woman, but Shirou puts two and two together after hearing the words daughter-in-law. He also remembers her voice from back at the colony when the ants went hostile towards him. Then we have our big reveal that the woman who has showed up right now is none other than the woman in white herself. She does seem to have the ears of a catgirl, so her true identity seems to be a bit complex. What is the meaning of this new development? What plans does the woman in white have for our hero? And how is Shirou going to turn this situation into his own favor? Because the starting of the story did show him as an almighty ruler. I would love to find out these answers myself, but the problem is that we have run out of chapters. There's no doubt about it at all. This is indeed the same woman who has been manipulating others and causing chaos in Antinos. She says that Princess Ryuri has already promised herself to her. And with this alliance, Shirou's plans have been thwarted. The Dragon Emperor says that the woman in white is correct. The wedding ceremony is going to be in a week, where marriage candidates will line up in front of Ryuri. She will then choose her partner, and for the sake of the ceremony, anyone is allowed to participate. Of course, Ryuri's partner has already been decided in private, so perhaps orange is going to be the new black in this world soon. Either way, it's bad news for our hero, as the woman in white mocks him and says that the Beast Folk Nation and Savannah should just run with their tails between their legs. Before anything else can be said, the woman in white disappears, much to everyone's surprise. The Dragon Emperor does feel that she is a bit annoying, as he would still like to treat Shirou and the others as his guests. After all, if a human like Shirou has been chosen to be their commander, he must have definitely done something to make the beast folk better. Our hero can relax here for a bit, if he wants, and then Ryuri hugs him cutely. She wants to show him around the country, but Shirou asks her if she should really be that clingy around him, considering she is yet to get married. More importantly, he asks her if she is really okay marrying the woman in white. Ryuri says yes because even though the woman in white can be scary, she is actually a good person, although the jury is still out on that. Shirou decides to play along, but then Glasses says that this is not the time for casual sightseeing. They need to go back and report that the negotiations have failed, but Aya is only bothered by the fact that the princess is being too friendly around her sensei. Shirou says he still believes there is a chance, as they have a trump card, but not the orange kind. He would prefer not to use it, and the look on Aya's face suggests something suspicious. Anyway, the first stop is the town just outside the castle. Some kids can be seen greeting Ryuri happily, so Shirou says her people really love her. She blushes and says it's not like that, but she's just fishing for compliments. The kids are surprised to see human visitors, but they suggest feeding something to them. Ryuri says it's a good idea, although Shirou finds it odd. The group is taken to a stall, and the food does not really look that appetizing. It's basically eggs boiled in tea and other spices, but our hero wants to know more. That's when we all are left shocked as Ryuri reveals these are her eggs. Nobody can believe this, but Shirou is unfazed like a total Chad. He says that it's not uncommon for reptiles to eat their own eggs, and Ryuri agrees by saying female dragon can lay eggs every month, so they are just putting them to use. Despite being a princess, she is no exception, and she urges the others to try her eggs. Of course, this is not an everyday task for humans, but Ryuri tells them the eggs are unfertilized, so that somehow makes it fine. The kids mock their guests by calling them boring and saying they're all the same. Ryuri seems upset, as she always shows her eggs to her human visitors, but they all react the same way. Suddenly, Shirou takes an egg from her hand and peels off the shell. The princess says he should not force himself, but he takes a bite instantly. Ryuri is taken aback by this, especially when Shirou says that the eggs are actually tasty. He says that it is important to respect the cuisine of foreign countries, as getting used to local food is essential towards doing fieldwork. He then tells his team to try the eggs too, and while the girls agree, Glasses comments that being a researcher is a tough life. This makes Ryuri really happy, as she smiles with joy. The kids hug Shirou and say that they have changed their minds about humans. Our hero is a bit upset that he is being called an old man, but sometimes you need to take a L to score the ultimate W. Shirou realizes that this was like a test for the humans, as he is now taken to some ruins from the old dynasty. This area is blocked off to most citizens because the Dragon Emperor wanted to preserve its history. Ryuri tells Shirou this is a secret as she leads him inside via climbing a tree. They reach the top and it's quite the view. Shirou is amazed to see how beautiful the Dragonkin nation is, and Ryuri says she really wanted to show him this. She then points to the Dragon God Mountain, where the Dragon God sleeps on top of the peak. She sleeps there for long periods of time, but every few decades, she gives birth to several wyverns which then descend. The princess has to rein them in to avoid chaos, because dragons and wyverns are not usually cute beings. We learn that these wyverns can create tornadoes that can tear across the land. These are called dragon storms, and they are a heck of a lot worse than locusts. The nation seems to be dealing with avoiding them right now. Ryuri reveals that since they have these wyverns to worry about all the time, they will not be able to deal with an attack from Antinos. This is why she offered herself to the woman in white. We are now taken to a flashback where Ryuri had offered her egg to the woman in white. However, the villain told her not to put it anywhere near her mouth. That's when we learn that she never wanted to have anything to do with the dragon culture. She told Ryuri that she had no choice but to accept her deal because she could destroy her country at any time if she wanted to. With that, she broke Ryuri's egg, which was really an evil thing to do. Back to the present, the princess becomes really sad as she reveals that she does not actually want to marry the woman in white. She hugs Shirou, who now knows what her hearty truly feels. However, things go from bad to worse, as the woman in white shows up suddenly and asks Ryuri if that was a bad memory for her. She offers to make her feel better, and then she takes control of the princess. Shirou is too late to notice this, as the dragon god starts to birth more wyverns from the top of the mountain. Our hero realizes that the woman in white is using Ryuri's powers to trick the dragon god into spawning more wyverns. The next thing we know, there is a dragon storm right on top of him and the team, so everyone is in a very tricky position. The wyverns are closing in, and there is nowhere to run for anyone. Of course, Shirou is there, so he uses something that seems to repel the wyverns. Glasses is surprised that Shirou was able to fend them off without needing to end them, which means that this new substance must not be the insecticide. Suddenly, Ryuri manages to counter the woman in white, and she begs our hero to make a run for it. The woman in white did not expect the princess to be able to resist so much spirit energy, and Shirou makes use of this distraction to grab Ryuri and lead everyone into the ruins. With that, the dragon god stops producing wyverns, and the woman in white comments that this is far from a dragon storm. Even so, the number of beasts she has right now is enough to bury the whole group alive. The wyverns attack the building, and it starts to crumble. Ryuri comes back to her senses and says that even though this place was built to withstand dragon storms, it was already tested one time, and that too during the old dynasty. It won't hold up for a second attack, which makes things even worse for the group. Luckily, Shirou's big brain energy points him to an underground shelter which he is sure even the woman in white may not know of. The group rushes towards it and hides inside as the rest of the building collapses around them. Ryuri starts to wheeze, which means that she must be really exhausted from using too much energy. Shirou realizes that the woman in white is only going to use the princess like this, and seeing her in distress reminds him of Hannah. Of course, he is a true Giga Chad Pro Max, so he offers some comfort and support to Ryuri. Eventually, the whole building crashes down, and the villainess says that this should do the trick for her. She believes it's a disappointing conclusion, and then she vanishes. After she leaves, we see the gang emerging from the debris. Shirou says they were lucky to have found an evacuation shelter underground. Otherwise, this would have been the end. He goes on to tell Ryuri that her fiancé has no intention of protecting her country. If she keeps using dragon storms to destroy everything, then she too will likely meet her end. The princess says that there is one other way to stop this crazy woman, which is for her to die after they get married. This was totally out of pocket, but Ryuri explains that after the wedding, the alliance will be formed. But if she dies, then the power will pass to someone else, and the woman in white won't be able to use her anymore. Obviously, this does not sit well with our hero, who says that he will never let it happen. He'll do whatever it takes to save Ryuri, and this makes her smile. She says that it would be nice, almost as if Shirou is a prince from a fairy tale. In reality, he is a man of culture from comic guzzlers, which is a fair trade. The princess says that if he is able to pull off something magical like this, then she will be looking forward to it. Shirou senses that since she is talking normally to him again, it's clear she's putting up a brave front to hide her fear and anxiety. Glasses asks Shirou how he is going to save Ryuri, but that's the million-dollar question. Bro turns to Aya and asks her for a favor, which makes her really happy. She is ready to do anything for her sensei, but what he wants is Diddy-level stuff. The only difference is that instead of baby oil, he asks for her urine. Naturally, even Aya is shocked to hear this, so Shirou explains to her that this is not some weird fantasy of his. He needs it for his plan, but Aya's intrusive thoughts go berserk when he gets close to whisper into her ear. Aya gathers herself and says that she expected her sensei to think so far ahead. In that case, she will gladly give him what he wants, but for some reason, she drags Fiona into it as well. Aya reasons that she can't do this alone, but basically, Fiona has caught a stray here. The girls tell the boys not to peek, and then they proceed to relieve themselves. Once the goods are handed over, Shirou decides to use some polymer absorption resin, and after that, he only has one more thing to do, which is to bribe some wyvern riders. Now, we move to 1 week later where we see the ceremony happening at the Imperial Castle courtyard. Princess Ryuri presents herself, but the look in her eyes suggests she has no joy at all. The woman in white is also here, and she is surprised to see that Ryuri survived the earlier attack. She is glad that dragonfolk are so sturdy, because now her evil plan can proceed. Of course, she is assuming that the humans did not survive the attack, but at that very moment, Shirou makes a solid appearance, which catches the villainess off guard. Now, our hero bows down to the Dragon Emperor and confuses him. He asks what Shirou is doing in the space that is reserved for marriage candidates. Bro reminds him that the dragonfolk don't discriminate between candidates when it comes to marriage. As long as his social standing is high enough, he is allowed to be a candidate, so our hero has pulled out the typical Rizzed card. He presents himself as a candidate to marry Princess Ryuri, and we are all locked in to see how this drama unfolds. The Dragon Emperor asks him if he is being serious here, and the princess herself is astounded to see his strategy. One of the Dragon Emperor's advisors tells him that he should not make a scene here, because the woman in white was decided as the spouse in private, which is technically not how things should work as per their customs. The Dragon Emperor agrees with the logic, so he allows the ceremony to continue. Now, it is on Princess Ryuri to choose her partner, but she does not have a choice other than the woman in white. After all, despite our hero's efforts, she needs to protect her country. so she may need to inflict some emotional damage on Shirou by rejecting him. Having said that, she does feel a bit dizzy, and at this moment, Shirou tells us that his plan is working. We now learn that Shirou had taken estrogen from Aya and Fiona earlier in the form of their fluids, and then got it mixed into Ryuri's food. One of the dragon kids who was with the gang during the attack also happened to be a castle servant. He agreed to mix the fluids with Ryuri's food, hoping that it will help the princess. At the end of the day, we have now seen someone consume a very shady meal. It's time for some science as we learn that estrogen can cause female reptiles to go into heat. Shirou has doused himself in the same peptide pheromones that male reptiles give off during mating season. This was possible by extracting amino acids from pine and jasmine, so this should be enough to make Ryuri choose him. After all, it's hard to ignore one's instincts, so we're witnessing a budget Dr. Stone story. At that very moment, Ryuri throws herself into Shirou's arms, which means that she has chosen him as her rightful husband. The dragon princess says that our hero feels big and warm, so she definitely wants to be embraced by him. It's a sweet and emotional moment for the both of them, as even Shirou tells Ryuri that she does not need to bear this burden by herself. She can leave it all to him, and this is one of those rare, innocent moments on Comic Guzzlers, minus the fact that Ryuri looks like the ideal wife for Drake. The princess asks our hero to take her as his bride, and this makes everyone in attendance begin their chats. They are surprised that she has chosen a human to be her husband, but then again, she's the dragon princess, so she must have given it enough thought. Naturally, the woman in white is pretty angry over what has happened, as she was planning to use Ryuri for a while after getting married. That won't happen now, so instead, she is going to summon a dragon storm to level this whole country. The villainess turns over to the dark side and uses her powers on Ryuri. She faints, but before that, she begs Shirou to save her country. Bro is pumped AF now, as he says that she can leave the rest to him. The woman in white calls him a fool because he does not have any special powers in this world, so he can't hope to achieve anything against her. We see the dragon storm emerge in front of us, and it totally looks like the apocalypse is upon us. Glasses and the others panic because it looks quite dangerous, and is approaching towards them quite quickly. The woman in white shows her true colors, as she tells everyone that the princess's change of heart has backfired on them. Ryuri will not be able to resist her powers, so the Dragon Emperor tells everyone to head to the shelter. However, there isn't enough time to get there, so everyone is cooked. However, Shirou has a plan up his sleeve, so he strikes a pose and gives a signal. We then see some wyvern riders who say it's time to earn their pay. That's when we see a whole army of wyverns appear behind Bro, making it the perfect opportunity to farm some aura. Glasses doesn't seem to know what's going on apart from the fact that Shirou did say he was going to bribe these people. The problem is that there aren't enough of them to match the Dragon Storm's numbers. Of course, Shirou does not need too many wyverns, as he tells his squad to go and spray the Cresol right now. One of the riders seems to be a curvy babe, but let's not get distracted. She orders the squad to open the spray valves and get to work. We can see their wyverns wearing some kind of mask to protect them from the substance, as they too would be susceptible to them. Now, we witness an image that goes hard, as the good wyverns spray the Cresol all over the enemy wyverns. The effects take place soon enough, as the enemy wyverns get repelled by the substance, and the dragon storm goes away from the town. This is good news, and then Shirou explains to us that Cresol is supposed to be a reptile repellent. It can be extracted from plant-based oils such as castor oil. Shirou had noticed while riding a wyvern that it was inhaling a lot of air, but never actually stopping. Then, he saw the mouth and understood the assignment. Basically, birds and dinosaurs could breathe efficiently via the use of air sacs. The wyverns had evolved from that, as they have separate pathways for inhaling and exhaling. This means they can breath continuously, so Bro made a device that takes advantage of those powerful breaths. It can be controlled by attaching a valve onto the muzzle, so in essence, our boy is the MVP. With the dragon storm gone, the woman in white is clueless, as she cannot use her secret weapon anymore. The worst part for her is that her mistress had given her a lot of her mana, and it all went to waste. The real problem for us, though, is that there is a new villain. Anyway, this mistress tells the woman in white that she is going to take it all back now. The low-tier villainess begs her mistress not to do this. But before she knows it, a warrior shows up and scolds her for her evil actions against Ruri and the country. Naturally, she gets stabbed by a spear and falls to the ground. Without her mana, she will not be able to get out of this mess. And then the warrior decides to take her life. However, Shirou tells him not to do this because they need to get some information out of her. The right thing to do would be to get her treated so the warriors get to work. Now, the Dragon Emperor tells our hero that he did quite well to thwart the woman in white's evil plan. He did not even know that his own daughter was trying her best to save the country and keep it safe, which he feels is pathetic from his end. Since Shirou really is a hero of many countries, he is definitely the right choice to marry the Dragon Emperor's daughter. Everyone celebrates the win, and the dragon folk recognize Shirou as one of them now. They all want to join him or become his harem babes, but he says he does not have any plans as such. Funnily enough, the Dragon Emperor now confers the title of Archduke upon Shirou for being a member of the royal family. This means he should have at least 20 concubines, so yes, it should have been me, not him. But before any of this can happen, Shirou must perform his husbandly duties first, so he is told to go and wait in the bedroom. We now shift to a rather alluring environment where Ruri awaits her hubby. It's their first night together, and the princess tells our hero that it is her first time, so she will be in his care. What exactly is going to happen now? Is bro going to become a lowly boy? And how exactly is a half-human, half-dragon going to look like? There's a bit more to this story, but for now, let's end the video so I can offer another part later on. Like, share, and subscribe if you like Shirou's story, and want me to continue it like how you want me to continue the mommy chapters. Do you like characters like Sura, Fiona, Mia, or even Aya and Savannah? There are not many translated chapters available online as of the time I'm writing the script, so I can't guarantee that you'll get another video soon, but I'll do what I can if you show this video some love. Okay then, I'll see you in the next one.